Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Andreas, and tonight we're coming at you from Comore Sports Whistler, where we're about to talk about the brand new Apex Orca. The Apex Orca is the brand new Orca in the Orca series, and now it's being built with their high-end Climax construction. This thing is super primo, very lightweight, and incredibly snappy. It's their marquee snowboard in their Travis Rice lineup. It's a pleasure to be talking about this snowboard with you guys tonight. I've been riding this thing all winter season so far. It's been a crazy winter season here in Whistler. We've had some of the deepest snow that I've ever experienced here in Whis. It's made for perfect testing grounds for this brand new board. So let's get into it. The Apex Orca is going to utilize all of the same dimensions that you already know and love in the regular Orca. The board is designed to be ridden slightly shorter than normal because it is a much wider platform. This is great because it allows someone with bigger feet to get on this board, and they actually don't have to ride it as long as they would ride a normal snowboard, which makes it incredibly nimble and easy to steer. So by getting a little bit of a shorter package, you get a board that's incredibly maneuverable in tighter areas. There is also a undersizing story to this snowboard. So it is a wide category profile. You are designed to undersize this board anywhere from 3 to 9 centimeters. So the majority of people actually ride the 153 because the 153 has the surface area of about a 160 or so. I find that it comes down to personal preference. I still prefer a longer snowboard, so I ride the 159 and I'm about 212 pounds. So being a bigger, heavier set guy, I just like the stability of the longer board still. And because I'm riding a lot of powder and deeper tree zones, the slightly longer board just helps me to gain that ultimate flotation that I need. The Apex Orca is also using their C2X camber profile. And what you're getting with that is a hybridization of both rocker and camber in this snowboard. Between the feet, there is a shortened rockered zone. So it's just a little bit of rocker to give that board the ability to engage a turn really easily, and also gives the board really good flotation. While underneath your binding inserts, coming out to the tip and the tail, are elongated cambered zones. Those cambered zones are there to give you stability, pop, and that locked in feel when you're carving. Just like in the normal Orca, you're getting that magnetraction serrated edge. You can see it when you look down it. It's got a slight undulation to it. And what that's doing is creating more contact points to give the board better bite when you're in icy conditions. When you have a slight amount of rocker between the feet, it naturally makes the board a little bit looser. And so in order to accommodate for that slight looseness, that magnetraction side edge really does create a lot of grip and gives you really good contact when you are in shallow conditions or icy conditions. This board has about 11 millimeters of taper, so the front end is slightly wider than the tail, but 11 millimeters of taper isn't a ton of taper, so it's still fairly easy to ride this board in switch. Also, with that 11 millimeters of taper, it just makes the board slightly easier to turn and also encourages very good flotation. That front end always wants to plane up and out of the snow. The turning radius on this board is about a 7-meter side cut, which is pretty tight turning still. It's really good for laying in a nice hard arcing carve, and it's also really good for making those tight last-minute decisions in tree areas. So as you guys know, if you watch any of my videos, I'm always looking for those really tight lines through the trees, and that 7-meter side cut just makes it really quick and nimble to get around in those tight areas or tight scenarios. This board's also set back by 2.5 inches, which means that the binding inserts have been moved towards the tail. And again, that's just to encourage the board to really plane up and out of the snow, giving it that unparalleled flotation and makes it more than capable in powder scenarios. We're getting their top of the line sintered base on this guy, super fast, definitely needs to be waxed and maintained, but you're definitely going to be beating all of your friends down the hill, especially on those flat cat tracks. This thing really does hold some nice speed. Another great feature to the LibTech boards is their edgeless tip and tail. So you'll notice if you look at it closely, your side edge actually ends just about here in the tip and just about here in the tail. And the reason why they do that is A, to make the board lighter so that it just has easier steerability, and B, to give the board better durability. You can imagine if you were to smash the tip or the tail into a tree with a normal snowboard, that steel edge can then bend or warp and get pushed into the actual base of the board, making it very hard to fix the board. Versus with this guy, we're entirely avoiding the problems that you would see with fixing an edge in the tip and the tail. So it just makes the board easier to repair if you do end up smashing the tail or the tip on a tree or something, which I'm likely to do. And another classic technology that we're seeing on this board is the whale tail. So you can see the camber in the back is fairly predominant, and then it juts out to this flat zone. And that flat zone in the tail does a couple of things. A, it creates a lot of stability if you're trying to manual on the tail or do some presses or butters. And B, it creates a lot of stability when you're trying to land a jump. So if you're someone like myself who's flying around through the trees and the powder and you're getting maybe that slight bit of loss of control, it's just really easy to plant the tail, get a lot of surface area to really give you that landing and absorb some of that speed and some of that air. Another really nice thing that the tail does is that flat zone in soft snow really helps to whip you out of the turn. What makes this board different than the normal version of the Orca? Well, although it's maintaining all of the same dimensionality as a normal version, it's really what's going on in the core of this board that makes it special and that really sets it apart from the normal version of the Orca. Instead of a wood dominant core, this thing is now utilizing both carbon and magnesium, as well as recycled plastics to make it lighter, snappier, and just overall a little bit more durable. One of the main questions I've had is, can you feel the difference from the normal version of the Orca to the Apex construction? And the answer is definitely yes. I don't feel like this board's overly stiff or much stiffer than the normal version of the Orca, but one of the things that I definitely notice is that it's much snappier. It wants to return back to its original shape about twice as fast as the original Orca. So it gives you that real poppy, snappy, responsive feel, and it's much lighter than the normal version, which is great for making quick harebrained turns and just getting overall really good maneuverability. So this thing steers like a dream. One of the things that's super cool about this board is the top sheet. It's a little bit of a darker top sheet, and it's definitely got a psychedelic look to it. The top sheet graphic is almost reminiscent of sonar waves traveling through the water, which is how orca whales would communicate underwater in the ocean. So it's giving it that sound wave vibe to it. It's also almost got like a holographic top sheet. It's all that carbon and magnesium that they're laying into the top sheet in the board. It kind of reminds me almost of like a Pokemon card from when I was a kid. Pretty cool. These boards are hand built in North America. So they're actually made in Washington, just a little bit south of the Canadian border. It's nice to buy a board that's still manufactured on the same continent. And yeah, it's really cool because every LibTech snowboard has a little sticker here that gives the person's name that actually built the board. So on this one, you can see it's Josh Schnenke 72. So you get that accountability. You know it's a good build when someone's put their name on the board. To be able to ride this thing is a pure joy. I feel super, super lucky that I was able to get my hands on one of these things and try it out in one of the best seasons that I've ever experienced here in Whistler. Whistler has been awesome this year for providing that deep snow and there's been no better conditions to fully test this board in. It's like taking this thing to the mecca of snowboarding and then trying it out in the ultimate conditions, so I've been super lucky. If you guys want to check out this board, feel free to come on down to Comore Sports Whistler if you're in the area. Otherwise, check out the links in the description. Yeah, try to get one for yourself. These things are gonna be a super hot selling board this year, and they're made in smaller quantities, so they're super special. A little bit harder to find. It also comes in at a slightly higher price point. This is one of their marquee boards, and here in Canada, it sells for 1,200 bucks. So it's not necessarily inexpensive, but if you're buying one board for the next 10 years and you want it to be the top of the line, super primo, high-end Apex technology going on, then this thing is the board for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video. Keep tuning on in to the Andreas Schubert Snowboard channel for more snowboarding antics here in Whistler, Canada. Thanks for watching, gang. We'll see you next time.